Good morning, everybody. Well, afternoon where Roy is, but I have the pleasure of speaking with Roy today. He's an MK Ultra slash target individual, MK Ultra survivor slash target individual, and it's a pleasure speaking with you, Roy. I know it's going to be hard remembering stories, or it is for me, but it's a pleasure being here with you. You don't know how thrilled I am, even though I hate that you had to go through this, but it's worth getting this story out. I know you got a lot of documentation and stuff, a lot more than others, and you've been going through this, what, 28 years, you said. So could you just tell me a little bit about yourself? When did you realize you were targeted, and how? Well, we know you've been targeted 28 years, and what you go through is targeting, and when did you realize you were targeted?
Mine's a little bit, and the pleasure's all mine, Dave. You're an absolute sweetheart, and really, mate, and I think the world of you and Holly, and I've got total respect for everything that you do. Thank you for having
Thanks.
me, Dave. My pleasure. I'm gonna share a screen, and I'm gonna share bits and pieces as we go through, so that everybody gets the full picture. You know,
Okay.
because hoping that it's going to help a lot of people on the way. And basically, in 1995, I was walking to a bar in Bournemouth. The name of the bar is the Richmond Arms in Charminster, Bournemouth, Dorset. And as I approached the bar, I felt a piece of my right frontal lobe appear to fold over. And I remember thinking, what the hell was that? Because that's something that doesn't happen in your, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
And anyway, from that day, without my knowledge, I was about to become mind controlled, regressed, sleep deprived, tortured, isolated, and trapped. And that same year, I needed to find a way to make money, so I became a private hire driver. Even though my mind was dulled down, I could still manage to find the roads and everywhere I was going. And a private hire driver, basically, it's before you become a taxi driver. It's like learning the knowledge, if you like. And
Right.
I was very conscious that my brain was inactive, and that then I was conscious that I was being controlled by voices straight directly into my brain skull. And I was also conscious that a piece of my brain on the right frontal lobe appeared to be more prominent than dull. Um, I was also knew that my brain had become inactive, and from that they had me walking around with my head sort of down. I couldn't hold my head up properly, and they were making me look at men's penises and female genitalia to make me look like a pervert, to discredit me.
Right.
And then I knew I was being controlled by an outside source. I knew these thoughts and motions weren't mine. I was to begin to realize that I was on a mind control program, firstly known as MK Ultra, and many other various names of the program were to be changed as time went on. And as you know, Dave, there's 147 sub-projects of MK Ultra, and I'm quickly sharing the screen. And this great man here, this is our friend Barry Trower. And I want to mention Barry because Barry, in my eyes, is a superstar. He's been exposing microwave weapons for over 30 years. He turned whistleblower because he could see the damage that the microwaves were going to do to us and the possibilities that they had. So sorry about that, Dave. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, I
And
want to see that. See, they said it pumped pressure in your ears. Like I get pressure, and right against my ears, it'll go
right, this is
like a
what happened
fluttering right
there,
against my
Dave.
eardrum.
Okay. Well, I believe that they had an effigy of me, because I don't know about the occult. I don't know about occult magic. I don't know about voodoo, witchcraft, or anything. But I knew that they must have had some sort of effigy of me or something like that. And basically, was I in this flat? No, I was in. I think I was in a rented room, and basically, I could feel the pressure just being pumped into my brain and skull, and basically, my ears both went pop, and I went to hospital, and when I got to hospital, the man at Poole Hospital, he said to me, he said, wow, he said, I've never come across like this before. And he gave it a name, and it was called stapedial myoclonus. And he called his friend in because he said that he'd been there for 43 years and never came across this before. And he said, I've got a trainee here. He said, do you mind if I call the trainee in? He said, because he may not come across this before. So I said, of course not. So then they diagnosed me with stapedial myoclonus. And then going on some years, 2003 to 2004, I had £50,000 equity in a property that I bought, and I had £20,000 that I sold the taxi business for. So I had about 70,000, and obviously they were controlling me as to do what and everything else because they knew what the outcome was. And in my hometown of Bournemouth, they'd set it up for me to meet this Filipino lady, and she'd set it up for me to have a blind date with this lady in the Philippines called Dolores. And as I said here, I don't remember how they set this up because basically they'd regressed me back to my childhood. They'd rewound my whole brain over a 9-year period. Then they put me back in my body somehow. And 2004, I arrived in the Philippines to meet Dolores. And basically, I was under the mental health service in Bournemouth. I was on quetiapine, largactil, risperidone, and different antipsychotics at different times. And I told St. King's Park unit that I'd been invited to the Philippines to get married. And the gentleman, he came to see my mother. I actually had to get permission off of my mother to be allowed out of the country to marry Dolores. So I got to the Philippines to marry Dolores. And while I was in the Philippines, the voices were being pumped very severely into my brain, telling me to buy everything biblical. And it's right, as we're here, I'm just going to quickly show you this. This was the actual Bible that they bought whilst I was in the Philippines. But every single day, Roy, go to the bookstore. Roy, go to the bookstore. It's Tony. Go to the bookstore. Buy everything biblical. So anyway, and the person who was communicating with me, his name was Tony, and he kept telling me that I was a Freemason. And I want to put this to sleep for everybody because I've never been initiated as a Freemason. I've been to a lodge once, and that was with the Rotary Club. We had to do something, and that's another story which I'll come on to. And so anyway, Dolores arranged for me to see somebody who could help me while I was there, knowing that I was being mind controlled along with the voices being pumped into my skull.
So she knew what was going on.
Yes, and the reason that I knew that as well, Dave, is because when I was there, I found a book on psychology that she'd hidden under the under one of the chairs or something, and then she took me to see a man who asked me to sign a piece of paper, and he rolled it up and he put it in a little vial. And to this day, I'll never know what that was about.
Wow.
So 2004, I returned back to the UK. The voices were just as bad. I was hoping and praying that it would stop. But that was 2004. That was 9 years later. Upon returning back to the UK, I had to go to Curry's. This is an electrical store. It's a chain. It sells anything electrical. And when I got to the store, the policeman that had been speaking with me, what I believed at the time was synthetic telepathy, through the ether, he just happened to be in the store that I was in. So basically, he knew that I was going to be there, and he arrived in the store just to say, "Look, we're keeping our eye on you." And I remember looking up, and anyway, then the voices kept telling me to go to Bournemouth Spiritualist Church, and I was brought up a Christian, and my mother always used to say to me, "Oh, don't go to those places." But anyway, the voices kept saying, "Go to the Spiritualist Church." So I used to go on a regular basis. I went for over 2 years. Roy, go to the Spiritualist Church. Roy, go to the Spiritualist Church. So I went there every Sunday without fail. And they have mediums in a Spiritualist church, different ones every week. And the medium, they come to you. They might come to somebody and say, "I've got a message for you." And they used to keep coming to me saying, "I've got a message for you from Spirit." And I didn't have a clue what was going on. I didn't know how I was there, what I was doing there. And, because the voices, and then I'd get all of these messages. I hadn't a clue what was going on. So that was the brief thing about the Spiritualist church. So then I went to a Baptist church for ask for help. And I was trying to explain, because bearing in mind I could barely speak, they'd fragmented my brain. And the gentleman said, "I'm very sorry, I can't help you. It sounds like you're part of the occult." So 2004, I was on the brink of suicide. I'd prepared everything. I bought myself a bit of smoke. I bought myself a few beers. I had an old car. And I went to I went to a builder's merchant, and I bought a hose pipe, because I measured it and it was 2.5 centimeters wide. I believe it was an inch. No, or was it more? So anyway, I bought the hose pipe, and I was going to go to the car park. I knew when I was going to do it, and then they knew, obviously, and they unblocked my brain. I remember going to the bathroom. Sorry, Dave, if you want to say anything, mate. I apologise if I'm
Oh,
going
no,
on.
no, no, you're doing great.
Thank you, mate. And I went to the bathroom just before I was going to kill myself. And all of a sudden, this mucus just started coming out of my nose and out of my mouth. And it was as if they'd unblocked this part of the brain where they blocked up in the beginning. And so anyway, I suppose getting rid of myself then had sort of subsided a little bit. And I was on the brink of suicide. I prepared everything. That's in the mucus. And then I was still contacting Dolores. And then, as it said, she was in the Philippines, and I must have had 60 something thousand sterling left in the bank. And the clicking in my ears where they broke my inner ear bones was so bad. I couldn't stand up. And my eyesight, basically, they could make me see, they could make me not see. I couldn't see out, and you can't explain that. I couldn't see long-sighted anymore. So
Wow.
I tried to contact Dolores. She never answered the phone, texts, or emails anymore. So that was the end of that. 2007, I moved into a one-bedroom flat. Severe pain is being sent to my brain 24/7, 365. 2007 to 17, I had to learn to read and write again. I had to learn to speak, because my power of speak had been taken away. I had been communicating via thought for nearly 22 years. I was aware that my body had been totally shut down. I was also aware of people walking through my body and my psyche, which is something that you can't ever explain. I could feel people going through me, and anyway, I can't explain that.
Wow. What's
Yeah, of
funny is, can I stop for a minute? What's funny
course,
is when
Dave.
you said the eyesight thing, when I first got hit with weapons and they tried to make me run in front of a car, because when I stepped on the road to walk in front of traffic, my direct energy weapon stopped. Well, anyway, after that, after the first time I went through my first torture with direct energy weapons, I could barely see like you. And after months, I had to have glasses and everything for months, and then it just cleared up again. It's weird how they mess with your vision, but I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, no, thank you, Dave. Dave, stop at any time you want me to, because that is where I believe that they used occult magic on me. Because, we know where we are now that the microwaves can do a lot. But at the time, I know that I was tampered with by the occult,
Right,
or ritually abused without a shadow of a doubt.
right,
And on here, I reported that I could feel also somebody looking through my eyes on one or two occasions. It was as somebody had got into my body and they could see what I was seeing. And you can't explain it because, it doesn't happen in whatever this real world is.
right. And
I
then
remember
the
going to
stuff they
the
do to us is so unbelieving when you tell people they don't want to believe. But if they've watched any of our interviews on your channel or my channel,
yeah.
um, by the way, Roy's got a channel called Target Individuals United on YouTube too, and he does interviews also. So, but if anybody can see that this stuff is real, everybody's just not saying, well, this is happening, making up stories. I mean, these stories are too, I mean, you'd have to be Stephen King literate to make up stories like this. Well, go ahead, Roy.
Thank you, mate. Exactly right. And you see, and what you've just said there, Dave, and that is the sadness of your family, my family, and many of our families not believing us and playing the mental health card with us, because our stories do sound a little bit out there. And as I've read that, I've got 8 years of diaries as well. This is just brief. I've got 8 years of diaries, and I looked at a few days of that, and it scared the hell out of me as to what had actually been that had actually happened to me, because I'd forgotten all about it. And where was I? And oh yeah, my father. Oh yeah, I went to look in the mirror, and I remember looking in the mirror, and it was like my father's face appeared in the mirror. And it was like, whoa. I jumped back. And then another time I looked in there and somebody else's face came in there. And I was scared to look in the mirror after that. And I asked for a brain scan on one occasion. I went along for the scan, and I've got this documented. When I received the results, they came back as the machine had malfunctioned, and I was never
Imagine
on.
that.
Exactly. And well, it said that we don't believe that the machine malfunctioning had anything to do with the results. But while we're there, Dave, while we're getting to, this will level off. But the reason I asked for a scan was because it's all right. That's because the Wi-Fi is closer. But I've shared this on many, many occasions, because on this side here, this isn't anything setting this off. This is an implant in my head, or what I believe to be an implant. I
Right.
can go I can go on the beach, I can go anywhere outside, and the meter will set off. So there's something in my head that I don't believe should be in there. Um, where are we? Oh, that's it. I asked for a brain scan. The machine had done. I asked the results. Machine had malfunction. I could feel a pin-like piece of metal. That's right. Afterwards, I could feel a pin-like piece of metal on the bridge of my nose. This was on the left-hand side here. I went to Shelley Manor Doctors in Bournemouth, Boscombe Manor, Bournemouth, Dorset. The first lady doctor, she could feel it. She tried removing it with a pair of tweezers. She had about 10 minutes trying to remove it. She had the tweezers there. She's pushing it up, trying to, and she said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Eacups." She said, "But I've got another appointment. Would you make another appointment, please?" So I made another appointment, and there happened to be another lady at the doctor's. And this time, the lady doctor, she tried to imply that I was mentally ill, even though the previous doctor had tried to remove it. So anyway,
Wow.
yeah,
Huh.
all documented, Dave. And as we're talking again, prior to Dave and I chatting, I showed Dave, this is my health records. I went to the doctors because I knew there wasn't something quite right, and I requested, at the time it was about I was about 55 or so. I wanted all of my medical history because obviously something isn't quite right. So by that, the year 2016, I've been this is mentally isolated, because even though I was around people, there was nobody around me. So they mentally isolated me for 11 or 12 years by then. No antipsychotic in the world would ever help anybody that is MK Ultra. Basically, the reason that I went to the mental health, so the doctors in the first place, was because they'd sleep deprived me. They'd allowed me to sleep for about 2 hours every other day. So this was for around 6 months. They kept me awake because they wanted me to go to the mental health system. They wanted me to be beholden to them. So by the year, no antipsychotics had ever worked. All
See,
I
that's
did.
with me too. I've got a script here just now. You know, I use it every now and then. If the melatonin and stuff don't work, called quetiapine. I think you said you were on it as well. Now I hate using it, but if I'm sleep deprived for a bunch of days, I'll have to go end up using it. That or Ativan. I get prescribed both. You know,
Right.
and I don't
And
like using them at all. But if I have to, you know,
yeah,
sometimes they don't work, but they work for sleep, like you said.
exactly. And David, that's why I tell everybody to please try 5-HTP.
Yeah,
I
I
tr-
got it. Yeah.
I tried melatonin as well, but melatonin was too strong for me, even 20 mil. These are 100 mil, they're pennies on eBay and wherever. Sorry, I shouldn't have advertised that, but these are very, very cheap. And they got me off of antipsychotics, thank the good Lord, because all antipsychotics did to me was damage my body, as I put here. You
Yep.
know, that they damaged my body, and they knew that. I begged them. I was on clozapine, risperidone, largactil, and with clozapine, the drug has to be monitored by them. So you're beholden to them for monthly blood tests, meaning that they know that you're dependent on the drug to sleep. They know that you've got to go to see them on a monthly basis, where they're going to inject you and test your blood. So, so that was there. So here we go, Dave, and that's what you were saying. That then I became on a very small dose of quetiapine, which I used to only take before I went to bed. But sadly, I was dependent on it to be able to
Mm-hmm.
sleep. I've tried to come off it, but I believe they damaged my brain when they started on me in 1995. But as I said, 5-HTP, I found it and I'm so grateful. Along 2003, I went to the local mental hospital. I'd been kept awake for 6 months. So that is why. I'm sorry I've got this round the wrong way a little bit. 2016, the voices came through to me telling me this was going to be the best year of my life. So that's 8 years ago. They also told me that I was with the elite. Whatever this means, I'm not too sure. Is this more tricks and lies? 2016, it all became too much. I had to go to the stage where I didn't care anymore. What has been the point of this life and existence? 2015 or thereabouts, I'd started to be able to watch films. Prior to this, my brain had been so fragmented, along with the voices being rampantly pumped into my brain skull, there was no chance I could understand what was going on. My memory is not what it was. I try to re-educate myself every waking hour. And that was 6 years ago I wrote this. I'm 55 now. I feel a lot older too. This has taken its toll on me. 2017, my brain still feels dulled down. It still feels as though it's not quite right. I know this because of the extensive pressure within my brain skull at certain times of the day. During the past 22 years, I was also regressed back to a very dark place. All of my life was going backwards until there was no further way to go back. The lights went out. Then after so many years of being regressed, I was reintroduced back into my body. Where I had been regressed back to childhood, then had to learn how to be a man again. I was so meek and childish when returning back to my body. It has been a healing process as well as a brand new learning process. I knew I was a man, but for so many years I didn't have a clue as to what I was. So growing back into my body had so many obstacles. Learning to read and write again, I had to learn to speak. I didn't have a conversation. I had to learn to converse. Said I didn't have a proper conversation for over 20 years. It was probably 25 years because I could only say bits and pieces. I'd been communicating via thought for the best part of 20 years by then too. I also experienced people being able to speak through me, and that was the strangest thing when somebody can speak through through your mouth. And as I said, but for many years I didn't have a clue as to what I was.
So sort of like forced speech.
Yes, and it was like somebody was in my psyche speaking through me, Dave.
Yeah.
You know, it was as if somebody had hold of me and could speak through me as and when it was determined by them. Um, whatever I'd learned in life had to be relearned. I know things, but I don't know how I know them. 2017, I went to this ministry called Sozo in Southampton. The service I went to was a deliverance service ministry. Two brothers from the ministry prayed over me. As they were praying over me, I felt uncontrollable laughter. I knew it wasn't me. The more they prayed, the more I laughed. It was embarrassing. I got home that night. I laid on the bed. The most strangest things happened. Firstly, as I closed my eyes, this black man's face came very prominently into my sight. It was very real. He just raised up out of my psyche and then left. Within a few minutes, another apparition appeared. This time it was a female. She was very beautiful. Then her face turned into a skull. She then rose out of my psyche. Everything that I've reported is to my knowledge and experience of this life to be my truth, and the honest truth as far as it can be. I have no reasons to make anything. I have nothing to gain by doing this. However, if I lie, I have everything to lose. My integrity is intact.
Did you ever go through or experience stalking or
All the
stuff at
time.
this time? Didn't you say you were in
Um,
your house like me some of the time?
say that. Sorry, Dave. Say that again,
I
please.
said, did you experience gang stalking or stuff like that? And didn't you say you stayed in your house some of the time like I've been doing
Yeah.
lately?
All I did was go to my mother's for 14 years. It was
Wow.
12 years full time and 14 years because I cared for my mother for around 14 years. 12 years it became more full time because my mother was blind, macular degeneration in one eye, plus sadly she had Alzheimer's and dementia. So mum became my full-time, but I was experiencing it, yes, Dave. But
Okay.
not so much then whilst I was caring for mum, I don't believe. But I never really went out, Dave, to be honest. You know, I was like a recluse like yourself.
Yeah.
Um, October 2019, so that was 5 years ago. Where am I now? I still have the headaches and pressure on my brain, which I've still got to this day as we're speaking now. Sometimes it eases up. In August 2018, I was diagnosed with bladder cancer. I was operated on for the bladder cancer. They also gave me a chemo wash after they'd operated. Then I had a throat operation. 3 times it was cancer, 3 times I was told it wasn't cancer. I had an operation for a hydrocele, and basically that was another lump that came up on one of my testicles. And I will say this has to be all due to the microwave radiation, because prior to this, I was a very, very healthy 33-year-old before this started. And it started in 1995 when I was 33.
Wow.
Yes. And they also gave me a chemo wash after they'd operated. In 2018, I had another throat operation, 3 times. Sorry about that. Oh, then I'd been diagnosed with diverticular disease, along with I had advanced sleep apnea, and I didn't know this until I had a lady friend, because I wasn't allowed to have girlfriends or female friends in my life. They kept all the ladies and females away from me because they know that I like ladies. And she was the one who told me about I stopped breathing in the night, and then all of a sudden I start breathing again, and this is called sleep apnea. And I've got advanced sleep apnea. I've also got corneal ectasia, high blood pressure, referring fungi. But to be honest, that is not as bad as it was now. I used to manage that with Betnovate. I've got a condition called stapedial myoclonus. This is the clicking where they pump so much pressure into my brain. This is where they broke my inner ear bones. And then I was diagnosed with last year. I had 7 pairs of glasses. Excuse me, 7 pairs of glasses. Um, I had 3 eye tests, because after about 6 weeks, I couldn't see out the glasses anymore. So they then decided to diagnose me with macular degeneration in both eyes, cataracts in both eyes, plus nerve damage in one eye. And I'll stop sharing that for a sec, Dave, because if you don't mind, I'll share some photos in a minute.
No
And
problem. So you wasn't able to, so you
sorry, Dave.
got to where you was not able to hold a job. Family and friends turned against you too. Did they do smear
Well,
campaigns also?
I didn't have family or friends, and what one was what I was going to go on to share with a few of the photos I was
I'm
going to
saying
share.
before you had family and friends, before it started, right? Then everybody
But
turned.
Dave, I was popular everywhere, everywhere
Yeah.
I went in the whole world. I was lucky. Everywhere I went, I had beautiful souls. I had great friends. You know,
And then it
always.
was like they all turned, right?
Well, no, it was I had nobody left in my life. There was nobody left. It was because there was nobody. You know, the only person that was in my life that was left was my mother.
Wow.
You know, because I didn't have my daughter in my life. My son wasn't in my life because of the way that it went pear-shaped. Could you pause this for a sec, just for a sec, Dave? Is that okay? Sorry
Ooh,
about that.
can you pause it?
Yeah, you can. You can pause it without having to stop it. Right.
All right, we're back from our break, and Roy's going to continue, and he's going to share some photos and explain them.
Thank you, Dave. And I want to show this great man first. This is David Icke. David, I know for a fact was put on the program similar to what we're on. This would have been very early 90s. And how I recognised that was because I'd been put on the programme prior to David. And the whole country was taking the piss out of David, excuse my language. They were saying, you know, because David Icke started wearing purple, proclaiming that he was the son of God. And this is how MK Ultra or the Targeted Individuals Program can make you. And so kudos to David, and Gareth, his son, is continuing David's legacy, because David only lives about 20-mile drive from me. I've got to get the ferry from Lymington to the Isle of Wight. So kudos and peace and love to David and his family. And this is the school that I was brought up in. This is St. Clement's. There's little. Oh, bloody hell. I haven't seen that as a close up for years. But
It's not
that's.
working.
Pardon?
It's still David Icke on mine.
Oh, right. Hang on a minute. Okay, mate. Sorry about that. So let me just stop sharing that, and then I'll start sharing. Then I'll start sharing the screen again. And okay, so we'll go to here. And can you see that all right, Dave?
Yeah.
Right. So this is the school that I grew up. This is St. Clement's in Bournemouth. And there's little Roy there. And and there's David. And this is Ruth and John. These are TI friends of mine that came to visit me about 3-4 months ago. Can you see that all right, Dave?
The school picture?
No, is the school picture still there?
Yeah. I think you
Oh,
got to stop sharing and then you got to go to another one. I don't know.
oh, because I put it in I put it so it was all anyway. So
Oh,
so not to worry. So I'll do it one at a time, Dave. Apologies for this, Dave and
oh,
everybody.
that's fine.
So this is Ruth and John, and absolute pair of superstars. These are both TIs. Ruth's beautiful Spanish lady, and John's a very, very nice gentleman. And they came to visit me maybe 3 months ago, and I'm in touch with John on a regular basis. And I'm going to quickly share the screen again. Oh, blimey. So what I've got to do here is I've got to stop those one at a time, and I will do this professionally. And I thought I was going to do it professionally the first time round, but apologies for this, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to share this again because I think this is very important for the TI community, because we did share it earlier, but this gentleman, blooming heck, oh, that's blooming Baco films. Can you see Barry on there, Dave?
Yeah.
Right, and I want to say great thanks to Barry Trower. You know, again, now can you see the Baco foil there?
What, Barry? Barry and you?
No, right, Barry's still there, right? So I've got to do it
Boy,
another way.
Barry's getting old compared to his videos, ain't he?
Yeah,
Man.
exactly. So I will continue to share this because I think everything is relevant. And share the screen quickly again. And
And Barry,
this,
and for those who don't know, he was an ex M15. Ain't it M15?
well, they
MI5
call it
something?
they call it MI5,
Yeah.
military intelligence 5, military intelligence 6. He was actually MI5 and MI6. So he was he was very much in the know. So right, so
And you
definitely
can find some of his videos. I think I got one on my channel. I think Roy's got recordings of him too on his channel, Target Individuals United. Um, so yeah, he's very in the know about the microwave because he worked with it. So he knew the dangers and what they were doing with it, and he exposed it all.
thank you, Dave. And this is what I had in the cupboards. This is all the aluminium foil that I kept collating, and basically that was to try to protect my head. But sadly, um, what happened then was they knew that I was wearing tin foil on my head. I used to put it on quite thick layers, and then the voice to skull V2K, or the voices that we hear, came through to me and said, "Oh, you've learned about that, have you?" Because obviously they couldn't get the right signal. So that they said, "You've learned about that," and they changed the frequency. And after they changed the frequency, that is when the lumps came up on my neck, my testicles, when I got bladder cancer, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and then my experience with the foil, I put it on my head one time. It started making me burn really bad in the head.
Right, because what they would have done there, Dave, is they would have changed the frequencies.
Yeah, and like I think Robert Duncan said, it's just like putting tinfoil on a TV back in the day. Sometimes it'll make it worse.
Yeah, that makes sense as
Enhance it
well.
and make it worse.
Yeah, yeah, because what they do is, as I said, and you said, they just change the frequency.
Yep.
And right, I'm gonna, hopefully this is gonna come up. This is when my son was born. This is my son. This is Michael Billy Roy Eacups. And about 2 weeks after this photo was taken, my wife left with my son. You know,
Wow.
so yeah, and that was in 1994. You know, so
So that was right before this started, huh?
Exactly. And what I'd like to say there is the mother of my son was a Slovakian politician's daughter that I met while I was working in America. I was working on a cruise ship in Miami called the Carib, and that's where I met the mother of my son, you know. So, and this here is, I'm just quickly showing you this. This is just to show I've got a sense of humor. Basically, many years ago, previous to being a target, when my wife had left me with my little boy, I went to Jamaica to live. I went to a place called Ocho Rios, and that gentleman that I shared there, he was a friend of mine, who came out to visit me. I'll run through these, Dave, but I just want to show. I worked on another ship here. This was the Ocean Islander. This would have been the very early 90s, with a casino. And part of this is to show that the person that I had become wasn't me. I was a lover of life, and I was popular, and I know it's irrelevant to what we're talking about.
No, but it shows what you were before and how they ruined your life, through the
It,
mind control and stuff.
Bless you, Dave. Exactly. Thank you. And like this, for instance, this gentleman, everybody took the piss out of this man, and his name is Eddie the Eagle Edwards. He was the actual skier, and I was lucky to have met him a few years ago when I became a Rotarian. And I want to explain to people about when I became a Rotarian, because everybody says, "Oh, you were in the Rotary Club, you're a Freemason," da 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 da. And basically, it wasn't like that. Basically, what happened is I wanted to. I was caring for my mother, and I was looking for a lady friend. And while I was looking to caring for my mother, I went to a Match.com night. And when I went to this Match.com night, I met this doctor there, and he had four ladies with him. So I went over to speak to them because there wasn't many ladies in there, and he became a friend of mine. So that is how I was invited into the Rotary Club of Bournemouth.
Yeah.
I wanted to clear that up, Dave, because a lot of people in this, you know, as you know, they talk a lot of nonsense. And
Yep.
this was when I was working out in Cyprus. You know, I met this lady, and she was German as far as I can remember, and we had a little bit of fun together.
That must
And
have been fun working on cruise ships, huh?
well, that was the trouble, Dave, because I partied for 4 years,
Yeah.
and I met some of the nicest people in the whole world. Because you go on a cruise ship and everybody's loose. You know, people come on the ships, they want to have fun. You know, I was the slot technician who repaired the one-armed bandits. And because I did it since I was a 15-and-a-half-year-old child, or boy, so to speak, you know, it became second to none for me to have a bit of personality and, you know, have a little bit of fun with people. And this was my old mate Giulio, and sadly I lost him last year. Giulio Enrico Oreste Latini, and he was one of my best pals. I was his best man. We went to Ibiza, and he met a lady, and well, after that, um, you know, I became his best man, and sadly, he passed away last year. Yeah, last year he had a brain tumor, and the
That was
reason,
you too?
pardon?
That picture was you too?
No, mate, these are actually slides that I'm sharing off of my photo gallery, Dave.
No,
And
I
I,
know, no, I said that was you in the picture.
yes, yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, I know that
Y'all
was
see
maybe a
how y'all
highlight.
see how detrimental this mind control stuff can be and how it ruins lives. If you listen to the story before and now you see in the pictures, that's before his targeting when he actually had a life before they ruined it.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. Well, I wanted to bring Julio up because my best friends didn't know me. They knew the old Roy, but when I was on the program, they didn't know me anymore and they hardly came to visit me because
Right.
I couldn't speak, I couldn't talk, I didn't have a laugh with my friends like I used to be able to. Basically, they didn't recognize me. And you know, sharing some of the good times. This was on a ship. This is me down here. It's a bit pixelated. This was one of my favorite ships. This was a Russian ship, and we sailed from Southampton in England. We sailed to Australia. It took us it took us 5 weeks. We stopped at many ports of call on the way, and you know, they became friends for life. And this was my cabin mate. This was Brett Trigger. He was a croupier in the casino. He's still around, happily married man. And this was, I said, as we sailed from Southampton down to Aussie. And I'm not trying to bore any people with these photos. What the point of this is, it's for all of our posterity. And to be honest, Dave is the first person that I've ever actually done an interview with. So I wanted to do it as professionally as I could with Dave because Dave's a very special person and his good lady Holly.
Thank
Um,
you.
I know, I mean it. I think the world of you, Dave. And I'm sorry. Oh shit.
It means a
And
lot to have somebody say
what
that.
you're doing, Dave, you're a very, very brave man.
Because just
And
2 years ago, I was homeless coming to your shows on the street. So, man, it means a lot for you to say that. You know what I'm saying?
I
'Cause
bet it
nobody
means a
cared.
lot for me. It
9 years
means
of homelessness, nobody cared. Nobody wanted to help. And you allowed me on the show, even though I'm walking the streets
not
homeless,
allowed to,
sometimes
Dave.
interrupting because cars were honking and stuff. You'd have to mute me. And I didn't know what to do. I was lost. I didn't know what to do, what my next move was going to be. And man, things just, luckily,
To see how far you've come, Dave, you're a special person. Very, very special man. And I've got the utmost respect for you. Right,
same
this,
goes for you.
bless you, Dave. This was when I lived in Jamaica. This was my dream home. And all right, it was a little bit tongue in cheek, I know, you know, but when in Jamaica, do as the Jamaicans do. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. You
Yeah.
know. And this proud member of Rotary, basically 6 years ago, I became a member of the Rotary Club. How that happened, as I said, I went to a Match.com night one night looking for a lady, met a gentleman there. He was a doctor, and you know, we got chatting, went on to another bar with the four ladies. One was two were his daughters and daughters' friends, and we became pals. And he invited me into the Rotary Club, and I spent 6 years there, and I resigned about 6 months or so ago, not for personal reasons, but I've got too much going on with this. And this here was 2004. This was the lady that they sent me to the Philippines to marry. And this here, I was under full mind control. I was on the full MK Ultra project. And this is when they sent me to the Philippines. An absolutely beautiful lady, Dolores Babi Estacio. And
And you're convinced she knew about it, right?
well,
Because you
because
found that psychology book and
yes,
that
well,
vial when you signed your name and they had to put it in that vial.
that's right. Well, because it was set up in my hometown, Dave, at Bournemouth in Dorset. It was set up in my hometown whilst I was under mind control. They set me up to meet a lady in Bournemouth with my handler. I had a handler for 9 years. His surname is Truth, and I will only say his first name out of respect because I heard he'd passed away, and I don't want to mock the dead. So I'd heard that. So, sorry, Dave. What did you say?
We
Uh,
both went blank. I said, she remember you thought she was in on it the whole time too.
Yes, because it was set up in Bournemouth. I was sent to the Philippines to marry her. When I got there, I didn't have a clue what I was doing there. And she told me that we'd been married before in a previous life. I remember that. And obviously, I've got all the voices and everything going on, thinking, what am I going to do? What am I doing here? I had to ask my mother for permission from the mental health services to get myself out of Bournemouth, to get to the Philippines to marry Dolores. I went there twice, the first time to meet her, and then the second time to marry her on March the 28th, 2004. And so,
Is that
yeah,
when they had you sign something and stick it in a vial?
yes,
And
I asked.
you never realized why they done it to this day, huh?
Exactly. Basically, what that was is I asked Dolores, I said, do you know anybody that could help me, Dolores? Because I've got all of this V2K voices going on because I've been ritually abused, occult abused. And she said that she could take me to a healer. So she took me to this man, and to this day, I'll never know what happened because I couldn't hear. She was translating from Filipino to English to me, and he had this little vial, and he made me sign this piece of paper, and he put it in this little vial, and to this day, excuse me, I'll never ever know what that was about, you know. So anyway, the next one, and I want to share some happy times. This is when we were in Australia. This is Roy over there on the left, and these are my friends Kerry, Simon. This is Julie, my mate Brett, and we were. I was designated the stubby cat carrier, so I carried the ice box when we went out to party, and that was in New Caledonia. And are you all right there, mate?
Yeah, I was looking for something
Okay.
craft.
Well,
I'm looking up why I was Googling healer made me sign my name and put it in a vial. And a lot of stuff comes up, but we don't have time to go into that. I was just like, wow, because I'm gonna look it up later to see.
oh right. I still haven't got a clue. And like as I want to share this many years ago. This was
Camel.
pardon?
a camel.
Yeah, exactly. Oh wow, wow, sheesh. Right, okay. Right, okay. Right, go on.
Memories are hard to look at sometimes.
Oh wow. What? Oh wow. Wow, Bremen. No, wow. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh bloody. Wow.
So
Wow.
you so that was your life before. It was a pretty good life before all that happened.
Wow. 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 Look at that. Wow. So she's beautifully and wow, this is
And who was
yeah.
that?
Pardon?
Who was that?
That was let's get me back again. Sorry. And that's my daughter. That's my daughter. My darling Lorna.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Do you have contact with her still?
she's the one who's living in she lives in oh she lives in Scotland. Yeah, oh, blooming heck. Something just hit on my head then. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, she lives in Edinburgh, and you know we speak now and again, but it's sadly it's a little bit tough, you know. And
Right.
this was myself, the camera, my friend. And this was out working in Australia again. And you know what wonderful people I had in Australia, and the and it's all right. I'll share a few more because you know I want to show people as well, because this is the first person that I've ever been interviewed with, Dave, if you like, you know, and I hope people are going to see this is me at the end. I looked after the slot machines, and all of these people here, they were they worked in the blackjack, the roulette tables, and so on. And whereas I went to look after the to the slot machines, that was on a ship out of America. And I won't go on for much longer, and then I'll let I'll let Dave go on and ask any questions. But I wanted to show, you know, some of the stuff that I've gone through. Like this was out in 1989. This was on a ship I worked on, and I used to look after the slot machines here, and I'll show you a couple more, Dave, and then I'll
Slot
not.
machines are hard to win, ain't they?
You know, slot machines, Dave, is you know that things aren't going to be in your favour.
Yeah,
You know, so
I gambled one time and really didn't like it, so
oh,
that's a
good for
good
you.
thing, I guess.
And this was my cabin mate, Brett, and these were lovely Sarah and Alison and myself. And this was on a ship we were working on out in the out in Australia. And I'm showing this because David's been the first person that I've really interviewed, and I want Dave to be as successful in whatever he does, because David hasn't had an easy life. And this was 1989, and this was my cabin mate. He was the photographer on the ship. This was Gordon, and you know, this is just a little part of my life to show what it was, you know, before I came back to England, when I had to learn to read and write again. I had to learn to speak. Like this, for instance, this was the old pool team. This was from about 1990. There's Roy. We've won the pool league, and you know, I used to love a game of pool, and I certainly liked going to the bar, having a game of pool with my friends, and I've got another couple to show. They're not boring, everybody. I will stop in a minute. This is the great Harry Redknapp, and he was a real famous football manager. And you know, a lot of people have got respect for Harry, and he doesn't live far from me in Bournemouth or Paul, you know, and he owns a place in Sandbanks, and I am a travelled man, and this here, I can't remember if this was Bethlehem or Jerusalem, but when I was working on a cruise ship out there many years ago,
Oh, that's in Jerusalem?
it's either Jerusalem or Bethlehem. I'm not too sure.
Okay.
I
But it
can't
is in
remember.
Israel.
Yes. So that was to, you know, pay my respect to the good Lord, and and everything else. You know, we used to go to, we used to dock there a few times a week, and this is the first time I've shared stuff like this. And this is when my father died, and this was the cruise director, and this was the gentleman in Fiji, and they've given me this bowl of coconut stuff, and this was just to get me home safely and to say a prayer, because I got thrown off of, well, I didn't get thrown off of the ship, but I had to go home to you know, for my father's funeral. And
Mm.
I want to pay a little respect to this lady. This was my darling mother. And my mother, she was born 1/11/1920. And she was actually born on the 31st of October. And she was born through rape. Her mother was raped, and we believe it was by the Lord of the Manor. So my mother was then, she was brought up by her grandparents, because in those days it wouldn't have been asked to bring them up, you know, by the person, you know, at 14 years old, I believe. And this is my mother and father. This is 1971. This is Jubilee year. This was 1977, when the Queen's Jubilee. I think it was the 20. I think it was the 20. Was it the 25th anniversary then? I'm sorry to have bored you, Dave. I just wanted to show that to you and the audience.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
fine. I
just
only got a
a
couple
little
more
bit of my
questions.
life.
And one of my questions is, what advice would you give to other TIs going through this?
Certainly, join somebody within the TI community. Join a TI talk, join Dave's, and be careful who you join, because a lot of people in the targeted individuals, sadly, it's about money, and it's not just about getting us together and the truth. Because mine was always finding anybody else that would listen to what I was saying, because I had nobody in the world that I could talk to. I asked people for interviews. Nobody wanted to know. I won't say who they are, but for some reason they didn't want to deal with me, you know. So perhaps they weren't as truthful, or they were doing it for other reasons, because this has never been made up for me to make money. This was just to get the whole truth out to anybody in the world that would listen to me. You know, I've never planned on making a halfpenny. Anything that my mother lent me all got spent. I've made no money out of anything that I've done. I've sold everything. I've got, as I was showing Dave earlier, all I've got left is I've got 23 shirts. I've got 41 bottles of alcohol that I've tried to advertise.
that you
I,
had when you were targeted, you eventually,
yes.
yeah, to try
What
to deal
happened
with it.
was, well, the voices, I just kept buying stuff and I kept putting them in a kitchen cupboard. And then it was only about 6 or 7 months ago, as I said, when I was at church, something said, Roy, you don't need to be here. And that's when I started sorting myself out. I gave all of my furniture away because everything I had in this flat wasn't bought by me. Nothing in everything was bought by the voices. So I gave everything or sold what I could, and then I had a little bit left, or I got 6,000 back from the government that they owed me, and I just spent it and bought everything that I had with all of the money that I had. So
Wow.
yeah,
So your advice to TIs would be to join a group or try to not join a group, but try to find somebody to talk to that's actually going to listen.
David, I know that you and I are real. I know there's a lot of people that are trying to make money out of the TI community. So they need to find real friends, David, like yourself and myself. You know, we were locked up for a certain time for such a long time, and those people, the real people, need us. But we know we're very, very heavily infiltrated. We know that this because I've got hundreds that have come to me. And then once I've helped them, oh, thanks very much, and they've gone. But whether they were real or not, or just trying to find out what I knew, that is another point, So they definitely need, real people. Some of the groups aren't going to be real, but and some of the people in it aren't going to be real. But anything that I try to do, like yourself, Dave, was for the benefit of anybody suffering from MK Ultra, being a targeted individual, directed energy weapons, hearing voices in their heads known as V2K. Any of these people, this is what I've dedicated, and Dave, we're dedicating ourselves to.
Right. And hopefully, man, if we could just not only reach targeted individuals, but reach people who aren't targeted and get them to see, hey, this is real deal going on and it needs to stop, This
Yeah,
ain't no joke. Nobody just makes up stories and gets on these interviews and just talks and says stuff, you know. We're not movie directors, we're truth tellers. And
exactly. And a
yeah,
lot of them, in my belief, Dave, is they're starting to come out. I believe that a lot of the higher ones now, all right, they will be scared. But I believe some of them that are involved with it are coming out because they're seeing the damage that is being done, you know. And Barry, God rest bless his soul, he Barry Trower I'm talking about, he started reporting these crimes against humanity 30 years ago, telling people the damage of microwave weapons, and the damage that they are doing. So
yeah.
kudos to Barry.
And one more question, and we'll end the interview is do you think there's an end game to this? If so, how do you think this might end, or do you think this will ever end?
I think it can only grow because, how many of us, there's thousands of us that have got this.
Right.
People are coming out from all over the world contacting you and I, Dave. I get hundreds of messages, you know, and it's very difficult because this is hidden. Like they've been slowly killing us in our rooms, putting voices into our head, giving us throat lumps, testicle lumps, broken inner ear bones, eye damage, without people knowing or believing us.
Yep.
So, and as I said, I've got a record that thick, what I got from the doctors. And I think the only way what we can do, Dave, is continually tell the world our truth.
Right. Well, Roy, I thank you for the interview today, and I'm going to stop the interview right now, stop the recording, and just stay online, and we'll chat for a second.
Okay,
Uh,
mate.
it's been a pleasure.
Likewise, Dave. My absolute pleasure. And peace and love to you and Holly too, Dave. And God
Thanks.
bless targeted individuals, MK Ultra survivors, Havana syndrome victims and survivors. Peace and love to everybody.
Yes, peace. Thanks.